And welcome back to another episode, a new episode, a different kind of episode of The Green Room is a Bathroom. This is going to be a little weird for all of us, myself included. This is our first show without a guest. This is our first show where that other chair that you can't see because I only have the one camera set up right now, is empty, except for all the junk that I put in it. Because I'm a musician, and that's what you do with your junk after a show. You just put it in your office, and you leave it. Anyways, this is a unique episode, and if you were listening to the intro video, or the intro little segment thing there, bumper, buffer, whatever you want to call it, you might have a clue as to what this is. And if you don't, if you don't have an idea of what this show is going to be about already, then it's probably not for you. And this is a big swing and a miss. Oh well. For those that are just slightly curious as to what it is, maybe they don't know fully, this is an episode in which I answer the age-old question that we've all been kept up late at night trying to figure out, and that is, of course, what guitars would each Harry Potter character be if they were guitars? Of course, we've all thought this, and this is a question that we won't definitively answer today, because this is something that philosophers will have to answer over eons and millennia of time. It's something that we just can't expect to finish today, but we're going to try anyways. And that's what it is. Why? Because I love guitars. I'm a big fan of music. I make most of my living, at least when I work by myself, not the business I work with my wife. When I'm out there doing stuff, it's with music, and I really enjoy doing that. I've done it most of my life. I would say the vast majority of income I've made in my life has come with a guitar in my hands. But also, I'm a nerd. This is the elder one. My wife and I took our daughter to Universal Studios Hollywood because we live in California and not in Florida or Japan. We took her there when our house wasn't ready to move into yet, the house that we are in now. We spent a little bit of time there and we really enjoyed it. I'm really sad that we can't, get sloshed on butterbeers and talk about gear today. Maybe that'll be the name of this segment at another date. Maybe I'll redo it when y'all yell at me in the comments about how I'm wrong about each guitar and each character. And that's fine, because little do you know, or maybe you do, the algorithm works that way. For each platform, if you argue in the comments, it thinks you like the video and it puts it out to more people. So tell me how I'm wrong, please. We're going to just jump right into it, right? Because this is not going to be a super long episode. We usually go 30 to 60 minutes or so with these conversations, but because it's just me and I'm just talking to you and you're not allowed to talk back to me through the camera, because I recorded this days before I put it out there and you don't have a time turner. See, we're already getting into it. You can't talk back. It's just going to be nice and quick. We're going to jump right into it with the man, the myth, the legend already, Mr. Harry Potter himself. What would he be if he was a guitar? There is one correct answer, and if you don't know this, and if you don't have this same opinion, it's going to be a bit of a doozy of an episode for you, and I apologize, I don't. Please yell about it in the comments. Again, help the algorithm. Like and subscribe if you're willing, but also share it, and talk about how dumb you think I am to all your friends who also, for some reason, like guitar and Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a Fender Strat. There is only one answer. He is a Fender Strat. It is all-around versatile, but let's be real, It couldn't not be this answer. This has to be the answer. If there was a chosen one guitar, as Harry Potter is the chosen one, we all know that, it would have to be a Fender Strat. It just has to be. This is the image right here. This is what it is. This is the chosen one playing the chosen one. It has to be. Cannot be another answer. And I'm not even going to give you more evidence as to why that would be the case. I will say this, the inlays are definitely thunderbolts or lightning bolts, because it has to be, right? It's a pretty cool design. It doesn't really fit with the sort of traditional Fender vibe, but we're doing it anyways. Thunderbolt, inlays, probably pearl, that much doesn't matter. Moving right along, we have the next of the Golden Trio, that is the big three in the Harry Potter universe. I'm going to be looking at my phone because, as I've said on plenty of these podcasts, I do a bunch of research beforehand and then I forget, but this is a list of 10 or so, or maybe 13 characters. I can't remember exactly. 13 characters, 13 guitars. That's a lot to remember, and I already have a bad memory. So I'm just going to be looking at my guitar for reference. I've already forgot. My phone for reference. We have Mr. Ron Weasley. Mr. Ron Weasley himself. Crazy, I was going to say green hair for some reason. Crazy ginger. I was getting ginger and orange or red stuck in my head. Mr. Ron Weasley himself, he is a Gibson Les Paul Special. You think, oh, that's a little weird. Why, Mark? Why? Well, because, and I say this as someone who owns both a Fender Strat and a Gibson Les Paul Special. I chose Les Paul Special specifically. It is never anyone's first choice. A Les Paul Special, you do not go into the guitar shop and say, show me the way to the Les Paul Specials. You might say Les Pauls. You might want an LP style guitar. You might want one of those, maybe a classic. Maybe you understand that you can't afford the classic or the custom or the traditional or the standard or any other ones that they have. And you go to the studios or the specials and you're like, I'll settle for this. So it's never your first choice usually. I say never and then usually I qualified it too much. But it will always, when it's called upon, it will always get the job done. I have never plugged in a Les Paul Special and said, wow, that is the greatest guitar I've ever heard. But I've also never plugged it in and said, wow, I don't like it. I've always liked it. It's always accomplished exactly what I wanted it to. And that's who Ron Weasley is. He is never your first choice. He's not even Molly Weasley's first choice. Sorry. But he is going to get the job done, and that's the most important thing. Moving right along. This might be the most controversial take of the day. That's not true. It's going to get much worse. But this one, I do have a lot of explanation for. This is the last of the Golden Trio, Hermione Granger herself. She is an Epiphone Masterbuilt, DR500. Why, you ask? Or what is that, you ask? Well, this, in my opinion, they don't make it anymore, I believe. This is, for the money, because you have to buy it used especially, for the money, the best acoustic guitar that you can get. I think it's going used right now at the time of this recording between $400 and $500 on things like Reverb and Guitar Center for used Epiphone Masterbuilts, specifically the DR500. It is a fantastic guitar. It can do every single thing you need an acoustic guitar to do, as well as guitars 2 to 3 times more expensive. So if you are in the market, little brief aside, if you are in the market for an acoustic guitar, even an entry level, because that is an entry level price to me, and you buy anything else besides this, I think you're wrong. Why, do you ask? Does that have anything to do with Hermione Granger? Well, because especially early on, as you'll see, I think, the image now, you see a young Hermione Granger is the best in her year at spells. She is the best at the most useful traits of a wizard or witch. She can do magic. It's kind of important. An Epiphone Masterbuilt can do anything that you need it to. But here's where it lacks. It does not have the want. It does not have the mystique. It doesn't have the name. Hermione is not cool. She might be cool to us, the audience, but she is not cool in her own world. She is not the one that all the people clamor towards. That's Harry, because, of course, he's the chosen one, or Draco, because he's this snooty little tied to wealth and success and tradition and blood. Hermione is not cool. She doesn't have the name. She doesn't have the mystique. She is not the guitar, in this instance, that you would pick up and say, that's going to make me look cool. It's just not. She couldn't do divination. She was one of the worst on the broom early on. She couldn't really do that. So all the cool things. She can't do Quidditch. She can't do that kind of stuff. She is not a cool character, but she will get done everything better than just about anything else her contemporary, any other kid at that age. And I'm assuming, I'm leaning a lot more on the movies than I am the books. I apologize to all the people that clicked on this video leaning more towards the Harry Potter stuff. Apologies. I read the books later in life. I watched the movies as they came out. She can do all the things necessary and almost none of the things that are just, strictly speaking, cool. And that's okay. I think that's okay. Why? Because at the end of the day, as a musician, I have never bought a guitar because I thought it was cool. I have almost exclusively bought used, and usually because better price for money, and I don't care what it looks like. I'm not up there to look cool. It's usually a tool, and I need it to be a good tool. And Hermione is the utility player of Harry Potter, far and away. Always the most prepared. The only one that I guess realized that spells were just speaking Latin and learned that real fast. And she just accomplishes so much. She could probably solo run the entire story of Harry Potter, except for when you get to the end and you have all the accomplishments of the prophecy. So you need Harry for that. But she could solo run everything else. Anything that they did that wasn't directly tied to Harry versus Voldemort specifically, not indirectly, but directly, she could do by herself. Like an Epiphone Master Belt, you can do it by yourself. It's such a good guitar. Get one if you don't have one. Get one if you need an acoustic guitar. And I'm going to add this one in if you like Harry Potter and you like guitars and you have a decent enough knowledge of both, then Neville Longbottom is going to be no shocker to you at all. Neville Longbottom is a Telecaster. He's a Fender Telecaster. Why? Because Harry Potter is a Stratocaster. And if Harry's a Stratocaster, he's your chosen one. Strat is a chosen one. But there is always a backup plan. There's always a plan B, a slightly worse chosen one. That is the Telecaster. That is Neville Longbottom. Great character, great character. But this is for those that are maybe a little bit too involved in the fan theories, unconfirmed as they may be, that Neville Longbottom was the alternate prophecy-filling child. He also lived. I don't want to get too much into that. There's plenty of videos. There's plenty of videos out there if you want to get deep into the lore of the theories with who Neville Longbottom could have been or whatever you want to get to. This is not that video. I'm not that knowledgeable. And also none of it's confirmed. Moving right along, we have Hagrid, the beast of a man, the giant biker with a heart of gold. Like, he does ride a bike. That he just is. Anyways, he is, and this is going to sound weird, but also make perfect sense. He's a Dan Electro baritone. Why? Because it's a beast of an instrument. And I know that you're saying to yourself, that feels like a cheat. Why? Because a baritone doesn't feel like a guitar. Well, it's a baritone guitar. Like a bass guitar is still technically a guitar. I can get into the sort of branches of origination of guitars. We're not going to get into that. He is a baritone Dan Electro because he is both a giant brute of a man, half giant, and a lovable sweetheart. And that's what a Dan Electro is. It has literal lipstick pickups. It's such a sweet guitar. It is not really used for anything heavy. It is a nice, pleasant, not overly powerful, not overly it can't do a lot, but it can do enough. And it's sweet sounding and it's nice. And no one ever looked at a Dan Electro and said, ugh, or that's the greatest thing ever. So Hagrid's not great at spells. He's not good at magic. He's good enough. And a Dan Electro is good enough. But he's also giant, so you make him a baritone. And I like Dan Electros. I think the styling is cool. And he warms your heart. A Dan Electro warms your heart. It doesn't necessarily belong on a rock star kind of stage, but it kind of works. All right, moving along, we have Draco. Draco, when I first made this list, for some reason, I did not put him on here. I don't know why. He's a super important character. And also, his guitar kind of came to me. If Draco Malfoy was a guitar, he'd be a Schecter. Probably a Schecter Hellraiser. Why? And this is going to sound a little strange, and this is maybe a little bit more personal, and you probably have a better answer in the comments. Tell me in the comments what you think he should be. But I view him as a Schecter Hellraiser. Why? Because at first, I didn't like him, and I didn't think he served any purpose. But eventually, with Draco and the Schecter, maybe Schecter as a brand specific, more in general rather than the specific Hellraiser line, but later I kind of understood. Later I get it. He's like that entry level into that genre that you don't normally think of. It's not a genre I particularly like. It's usually a heavier kind of style that I like. I really enjoy a Strat because it is the perfect clean guitar. And you can build on top of it. You can definitely do rock and roll with a Strat. Don't get me wrong. It was one of the guitars that helped birth the idea. It's what Chuck Berry played, right? I know he played other stuff. But he probably played a 335 now that I think about it. It doesn't really matter. Moving right along. If I'm wrong, it just means you get more things to argue about in the comments towards me. I think Draco Malfoy is a Schecter Hellraiser because he is, at his heart, early on, not a good person. Like a Schecter guitar. I don't know. But he becomes something that makes sense. He redeems himself. He is functional, and he does have a use. And maybe we shouldn't treat characters, the people that they are, as utilitarian, because there's some bad things that happen with that. But ultimately, he does have use, and he's not completely irredeemable. Like a Schecter. Sorry, Schecter. All right, now we have the next one, Professor Snape. There's going to be a couple on here that you disagree with. I'm not sure you'll disagree with this. This feels right to me. And Professor Snape is, to me, a coil tap or split PRS 24 custom. He's the American made. I'm not giving him an SE label. He is the full-on PRS. I was almost going to say SE that time. Anyways, he's a PRS 24 custom with coil tapped pickups, because it is all around a super powerful guitar. It can do almost anything you need it to, and for some reason you just don't like it that much. Maybe it's the prejudice coming in. I know for me, growing up, despite the fact that my dad has a PRS, I didn't really get good sort of like, you didn't say they were all that great. It was sort of this like, well, you have the Fender, you have the Gibson, you have this weird thing in the middle that's not really either, and it can't really do the. And so maybe there's some prejudice built up in my childhood. Maybe I'm prejudiced towards the PRS, and maybe that's something I need to work on. Maybe I need to do better. Maybe I need to do the work and look at a PRS with more unbiased eyes. But I'm not going to right now. And in the same way, that's Snape. Snape is a great character, first off. Super interesting. And Harry comes in and just hates him automatically, like I do with the PRS, because for some reason it's just not right, right? You know, there's just something about it. There's something about it that doesn't feel right. And then he's a half-blood, right? Half-Blood Prince. It's big reveal. Sorry if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, or if you're Gen Z and you're like, oh, I'm waiting for the HBO show to come out. I'm sorry. That's like 6 seasons in, I think. Or 6, yeah. Yeah, that's the second to last book. So you'll probably forget by then. But he is a half-blood. PRS doesn't really have the storied tradition of the Gibsons or the Fenders. There's some other stuff out there that could maybe say they have those traditions, just not the big names like those. PRS has been around, but it doesn't have the 80 years. It doesn't have the 70 years or the 60 years, Gibson's even longer, that these other big names have. It's creating its own name, and it's created a name. Don't get me wrong. It is definitely a guitar in its own right. You have people like Carlos Santana playing them. That's. I mean, I think it's in his sort of rebirth era in the 90s. But it is not. There's no reason for you to dislike it. There's no reason for me to dislike it. I just do. Sorry, Snape. Sorry, PRS. Moving along. This is the one that I had trouble with, and this is where I'm going to ask you to say something in the comments. This is what I'm going to ask you to do some work, and that is Professor McGonagall. I have no idea what she should be. I have zero clue. I looked up. I wanted to make a joke and see, is she Scottish? I make her just bagpipes, which doesn't make sense because it's not a guitar and there's no strings or anything like that, but she's not even Scottish. I think she's Irish. Maggie Smith, I don't think was Irish or was Scottish either. I think she was Irish. I can't even remember the research I did there. I don't know what she should be. If you know what she should be, please say it in the comments. You can give me a brand, a series, a model, maybe in the finish, like you want to go with like a red and yellow kind of look because she's the headmaster of Gryffindor and then becomes the headmaster of the... I think I'm using the headmaster wrong. She was headmaster of Hogwarts for a while, but she was the head of Gryffindor House. All that kind of stuff. I don't know what she should be. If you know what Professor McGonagall should be as far as a guitar. What guitar is Professor McGonagall? Professor McGonagall. I'm struggling with my words, guys. I'm sloshed on butterbeer here. Let's move on. Professor Lupin. He is, and maybe you've seen another short that I've made, and you're going to give me a hard time for this. I'm sorry, but Professor Lupin is a Fender American, yes, the American series version, Acoustasonic Jazzmaster. Why? He is a man living a half-life, and the other half belongs to a monster. He is a werewolf, and he does not have control of himself. So he is both living a double life. And why else? Because he's living that half-life, he can do neither fully. He can do neither well. And you're like, but he saved Harry on the train from the Dementors in the third book? Fourth? I don't even remember what book he was introduced. Doesn't matter. Yeah, but he let Harry succumb to the Dementors for a while because he was so tired. Because the night before, he was a werewolf. He had changed. He was too tired to save Harry right away. What the heck? I like Professor Lubin, but not that much. I love Fender, but I don't love the Acoustasonic. He is both. You should just get a Professor or an Animagus, right? So the werewolf, if it was just an Animagus, Professor was just a dude, then you could have both and they'd be great. Like you could have just a regular electric guitar and a regular acoustic guitar. $1,000 a piece instead of the $2,000 that an Acoustasonic costs. Just get a $1,000 electric, $1,000 acoustic, call it a day. Maybe you get that Masterbuilt. Maybe you get the Hermione Epiphone Masterbuilt DR500. Then you have $1,500 left over to buy an electric guitar. And you can definitely buy a Harry Potter with that. Harry Potter was a Strat, remember. You can get an American Harry Potter, which is even better. Sorry, Brits. All right, moving right along. I was gonna do Sirius Black. I was gonna call him the Flying V because he's like serious but not serious. But I really don't feel super confident in that. I'll leave it there. I'm not gonna give you a picture for it. I'm not gonna give you any sort of like representation of it. I don't really have any other strong evidence or arguments for why he's a Flying V other than he's a little silly, but also serious, given the name. All right. Now we have he who shall not be named. We're just going to call him Voldemort. I'm sorry. But he's sort of the mirror image, like the opposite mirror image of who Harry is, yes? So what is the opposite, the mirror image, the corrupted version of a Fender Strat? Right? The corrupted reflection of the chosen one. The yang to Harry's yin. The Art Garfunkel to Harry's Paul Simon. Because they were bitter rivals. We all know it. What is he? He is an S-style. He has to be an S-style, right? S-style, Strat, or Slytherin. He is an S-style from Tom Anderson. And this could have been a Nash. This could have been a Sir. This could have been any number of S-style, boutique-style guitars. But I'm choosing Tom Anderson solely because it's the first one I ever heard of. And then also Tom. Tom Riddle. Tom, get it? Why not? So he is that, but here's the problem. He is a Tom Anderson S-style guitar with like a flame purple top and DiMarzio pickups. I'm sorry, DiMarzio. I'm sorry. I am just not a fan. They feel cold and lifeless to me. Like Voldemort. Right? A little bit. You're not with me. That's fine. Complain about it in the comments. Now we have Gilderoy Lockhart. Gilderoy Lockhart. What a weird name. Weird dude. He is, of course, a Rickenbacker 320. Yeah, I said it. He's a Rickenbacker. Why? Why do you ask? Because his reputation is all hype. Like a Rickenbacker. Please don't sue me. I cannot stand a Rickenbacker. Can't stay in tune. I hate the way it sounds. I do not like the tone. And the only reason you like it is because the Beatles used them. That's the only reason. Because they're quirky. Yeah, they make a good bass. I get they make a good bass. But you pick up a Rickenbacker 320 and you tell me after 10 minutes of playing that thing, first off, you spent $3,000 on it because what? You're going to play it for half a second. It's going to go out of tune. You're going to be tuning it constantly. It is not a show guitar. You cannot play it for a long show. It's just not worth it. Unless you have like 4 of them and a guitar tech who's tuning them constantly. You can't do it. I'm sorry. It is all hype. And for some reason, it's got audiences and musicians captured. Oh, also, because Lockhart was super secretive early on, right? He didn't tell anybody that he just stole other people's wizarding stories and their heroic stuff, and he just memory wiped other people. And the reason that sticks out to me is because early on, I think now you can see their prices online, but early on, you used to have to call the stores. I don't know if this was like a non-public internet disclosure kind of thing of price where you actually had to call them because you had to basically show I'm interested in this. You couldn't get the price online. You had to call them for it. So they were being secretive about that. Again, I don't know if that was contractually obligated by these retailers or not. But I didn't like that. Also, I don't like the guitar. Man, I don't like Lockhart. All right, now we have Dobby. Dobby is just a 3/4 scale Hello Kitty guitar with Lawler pickups in it. I don't know why someone put Lawler pickups. It's super awesome pickups. They're great sounding. They're super powerful. You put them in any guitar. They're such great pickups. And why you put them in a Hello Kitty guitar, I don't know. But that's what he is. He's balancing the powerful, the weird, the quirky. He can do all this kind of stuff. He's a cute little thing. Dobby is a 3/4 Hello Kitty guitar with Lawler pickups. Enough said. All right. Then we have 2 that I'm not going to give you much on. I'm not going to give you much on this because it doesn't need to be. Luna Lovegood is just a Luna guitar. I know that seems like a cop-out. It really does. But you right now, pause this video, make sure you come back because I need you to finish it and make sure you like it and comment and do all this stuff that I told you to do earlier. But leave this page, leave YouTube, leave Facebook, whichever one you're watching on. Go look up a Luna guitar. You look up any series. I don't even care. You don't have to do a specific model. You don't have to do anything like that. You look up any Luna guitar. And you tell me that that's not Luna Lovegood. If you tell me that that's not the case, then I think you and I are on just 2 different planets. All right, Dean Thomas. He's just a Dean. I know this seems like a cop-out, right? But for Dean, the reason I chose him is because A, I don't know very much about him, and 2, I don't really want to learn. Just like a Dean guitar. Sorry, Dean Guitars. All right, and let's finish this out strong with the one you guys have all been waiting for, and that is Dumbledore. Of course, the most powerful wizard of all time. He can do just about anything you need him to do, and he's meticulously planning and orchestrating things behind the scenes the entire time. What is he? What is he, you ask? Maybe you have your ideas. Before I tell you, comment. What is he? Is he a pre-CBS Strat? That's pretty good. Is he a 335? No, but I probably should have chosen someone as that. No, he is, this is going to sound weird, he is a Line 6 Variax. Maybe you don't even know what that is. Maybe that came out too early during the Helix era, which was like a decade long, and we're just moving on to the second one. Second decade of the new Helix, whatever, doesn't matter. New chapter in Helix era. He was the early on in that kind of thing. The Line 6 Variax could basically do anything you wanted it to. It was a great sounding guitar on its own. The magnetic pickups in it were good sounding, but also it could be just about anything you wanted it to be. You wanted a 12 string, you wanted to change the pitch or the tuning of the strings, you could do that immediately and without even touching the tuning heads. You just press a button. You could orchestrate all this and you could plug it into your Helix, change a patch, and it would be, all right, this thing that sounds like an off-brand Les Paul, but still good, with the magnetic pickups. Now we're simulating a Strat because I pressed a button on my Helix. So I'm getting a completely new patch on my Helix, and my guitar sounds different, and maybe I changed the tuning with it as well. It could do so much. It's such a cool, or I don't know, I'm doing a show, and for this one song, I need a sitar, and then I need a banjo 3 songs later. Line 6 Variax can do that. It can just be and do whatever you need to do. It is incredibly powerful. Dumbledore, incredibly powerful. But most importantly for this analogy, the reason that Dumbledore is a Line 6 Variax is because both of them are dead. And we're very sad about it. I would have loved to see what a Line 6 Variax would be with the new Stadium Helix. The next level of like AI guitar. But also Dumbledore being dead is sad. I have Dumbledore's Elder one. This is not just the Elder one. This is when Dumbledore had it. So I'm sad. I don't have a Variax. I knew someone with a Variax. I knew 2 people with Variaxes. They were so cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us on The Green Room is a Bathroom, talking about what guitars Harry Potter characters would be if they were, for some reason, guitars. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked some of the choices that I have. If you didn't, please make sure to yell at me in the comments. Please keep the profanity to a minimum because there might be some children watching this Harry Potter, right? But also make sure to let me have it. I can take it, probably. You can't see me cry when I respond to these comments anyways. Yeah. And let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe, share this, do something. I enjoy doing this and it's super fun. And if you like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff, it makes it so I can do it more. We will see you guys next week. Have a great one.